In the center of the ring is our ring announcer. Here is Gordon Wood.
Live from the fabulous summit here in the melting pot of the world, Houston, Texas, Roy Foreman Promotions and the summit, in association with Cedric Kushner Productions, proudly presents an afternoon of World Championship Boxing for your entertainment. Your matchmaker for today's bouts, Bill Benton. All bouts except the main event are governed and ruled by the state of Texas, the executive director of boxing, Jack Garrison. Your director of boxing is Rick Valdez, assisted by Henry Villagomez, Red Weston, Ivory Roberts, and Paul Peters. Your two doctors in attendance for the safety of the fighters, Jorge Guerrero and Paris Bransford. The three judges doing all the scoring, Bob Martin, Cheryl Cooper, and Lee McCowan. Your timekeeper is Joe Barba, and counting the knockdowns, Mr. Gary Barba. Your referees working on an alternate basis, Barry Yates, and in the ring at this time, the man in charge for today's opening bout, he is referee Ronnie Ralston. And now, ladies and gentlemen, fasten those seat belts. It's time for the fist to fly. Introducing the opponents, first boxing out of the blue corner. This young man wearing the green trunks with the red trim, weighing in at a solid 165 and 1/2 pounds. Pro career, 10 wins, 4 defeats, 1 draw, from right here in Houston, Texas. The George Foreman Youth Center in the 5th Ward, to be exact. Let's hear it for Warren Kid Nitro Williams. And his opponent, boxing in this 10-round co-feature, wearing the black trunks with a gold trim, weighing in at a solid even 167 pounds. This young man, undefeated as a professional, 23 straight wins, 14 of those wins coming by knockout. He's the current United States Boxing Association super middleweight champion of the world, all the way from Flint, Michigan. Let's welcome Tim, the Doctor of Styles, Littles. 10 rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division. Your referee, Ronnie Ralston.
Receive your instructions in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Let's have a good, clean fight. Touchdown.
It'll be interesting to see how Littles does against Williams, as the rules here in Texas, the 3 knockdown rule in effect. Mandatory 8 count, 10-point must system with the 3 judges. Scorecards after the 3rd round in case of an accidental headbutt or a foul, and you can't be saved by the bell in any round. A look at the tail of the tape. Pretty good matchup there. Littles slightly taller and thus has a slight 2-inch reach on Warren Williams, and we'll find out if that is an advantage here this afternoon. How do you see this one going from the very start? Does Littles come out like a house of fire or what?
Well, Littles is not known as a big starter. Here he is coming out as a right-hander, which is a surprise. Littles is a southpaw, of course, usually. In his last fight, he came out and he knocked out Armando Rodriguez with 1 punch in the very first round. And really surprised a lot of people, because Littles had gone 12 rounds in his previous 4 fights and had gone without a knockout for 5 fights before that. It's very common for guys when they move up in class to stop knocking out people. As Littles knocked out 13 of his first 16 as a pro, then started going the distance when he started fighting world-class competition. He beat Antoine Bird, Frankie Lyles, John Scully, and then Lindsey Morgan, all in decisions. But then the crushing knockout of Armando Rodriguez turned a lot of people's around on Williams.
We made mention that all 4 that you mentioned, Bird, Lyles, Scully, and Morgan, were all left-handers, and then the right-hander Rodriguez, and thus a big knockout early by Tim Littles. Again from Flint, Michigan. He's 28 years of age, has the height advantage in the black and the gold. Warren Williams in the dressing room, known as Kid Nitro, said he too would come out and throw a little blast or 2 of his own early on to see if the USBA champion could withstand his pressure. You see that good quick left jab though of Littles just sneaking in there on Williams.
You know, Williams is a fighter who I think almost for his entire pro career has been trying to redeem himself. Big amateur, 100 wins and 14 losses. He fought on the U.S. national team. And he had a 4-fight losing streak going into a retirement at the end of 1989. took some time off. He's come back with 2 wins. The last one was impressive, an 8-round decision over the Kenyan Chris Sandy, who was considered to be a good prospect and was NABF rated. So Williams perhaps is back on the road toward contention.
Looping left hand by Williams is countered by that quick left hook thrown by Littles again. There's a shove by Littles, a warn by the referee, Ronnie Ralston. And so far, it has indeed been Williams that has been taking the fight to Littles.
Would you do that? And I will call the other guy.
Closing minute of round number 1, scheduled for 10 rounds today in Houston. Sam Smith along with Charles J. Glad you could join us on our Corona Extra World Championship Boxing Series today.
Littles is a jabber. He's going to rely on jabbing and movement. Calls himself the doctor of style. Sometimes that doesn't make for very exciting fights, but Littles has managed to get the job done in all of his professional fights.
Williams again continues to hook with that left hook of his, but Littles is not able to come over the top with the right hand yet. But you have an idea they'll be talking about that in the corner as we come near the end of round 1 of this scheduled 10-rounder in the super middleweight division. Well, a good look again at Warren Williams. Kid Nitro fighting out of Houston, Texas. He has certainly elected to come in against a tough fighter here in Tim Littles this afternoon as they take a little time to get him down on the stool. While on the other side, Tim Littles, you can see him already starting to put a little ice on the left eye that may have a little swelling. Now they go back to the right. By the way, he's worked on in the corner by Lou Duba. Duba, of course, well known, coming off some heart problems. Asked him how he felt today, and he said, never better. So Duba will be working in the corner with Tim Littles, the 28-year-old super middleweight that's on a 23-0 tear. Said he wanted Michael Nunn as his eventual world championship opponent, and he feels within 6 months or a year he's going to have an opportunity to fight for a world title. And at 3-3-0, he certainly is well on his way.
Well, there's no question that being the USBA champion, he's in a prime position to fight for a world championship. He's got to be one of the top 2-3 contenders in the world.
Bell sounds to bring the battlers into the center of the ring for round 2. Littles in the black and Williams in the green. Solid round by Littles, countering mostly what Williams did in round 1. Warren Williams out of Houston, 29 years of age, 5'9.5", approximately 1.5 inches shorter than the USBA champion Tim Littles. Littles seems like he's coming out here, Charles, to be a little bit more active in round number 2. As you see, the prodding style of Williams is still trying to chase him into a corner here.
Well, Williams, you see standing in front of Littles, he's posing. You got to throw punches when Littles is standing there. Doesn't look like he's able to get off.
Williams again, a normal southpaw, is fighting as a right-hander in this fight. And Williams just kind of biding his time as he walked in. He was born in Germany. He is what he affectionately calls an Army brat. His father was in the military service when he was born in Germany. Now, of course, trains here in Houston. He is married, has 5 children. So he's fighting for a purpose, not only for a career, but also his family as well. And Kid Nitro in the green has done well so far through the first early rounds. Littles a pretty good digging right hand that time up underneath the outstretched left hand of Williams. Williams in pretty good shape. You can see already here through 2 rounds, he's still very much breathing through the nose. Not taking air in through the mouth as of yet. Both of them digging shots to the body. Ronnie Ralston is a little leery of getting in there. Took a little time to get in there, and now warns both fighters and is going to talk to him here with about a minute to 10 to go. Said, when I holler break, that's exactly what I mean. And that quite obviously got the crowd into it here.
Littles being a lot more aggressive in this round. You see he's throwing punches with the bad intentions. He's thrown a few good left hooks, and there's a good right hand of the body.
You know, one of his fortes as well, Charles, is the fact he's able to throw some quick punches inside, and boom, he gets right back out of there. And he's already shown that a couple of times here early.
Littles has tremendous boxing ability. He's had even a better amateur background than Williams. He's been a former national ABF champion. He's also been a national Golden Glove runner-up, an alternate on the '88 Olympic team. Over 200 amateur fights for Littles, and part of a fighting family, Sam, is his brother Jonathan, and his brother Keith were both heavyweight fighters, and all three of them won Golden Gloves in Michigan in the same year. It's the only time it's ever been done in the state of Michigan. So there's been a lot of, I'm sure, lively sparring in the Littles family in the past.
And I'm sure it was probably for the extra meal in the kitchen. So far, Littles is kind of eating up right now here on Warren Williams. So as we follow Tim Littles, the USBA champion, back to his corner. Greeted over there by George Benton along with Lou Duba. Luba working inside the ropes today. And you can see Ace Murata working on the outside with the ice packs as well, as they see just a little abrasion over that left eye. Let's check up some of the action here, Charles, in round two.
You'll see the referee coming in here somewhere to break up the two, and you see a little laces over the face of Tim Littles on the part of Warren Williams there. See if we get another look at that. Yeah, he'll push Littles away with his glove, and that's a no-no. A thumb can get caught in the eye very easily in an exchange like that.
Williams, ironically, has been standing between every round so far. He has not taken a seat on the stool yet. You can see him in his corner right now. He is not sitting down. The champion is, as they get ready for the next round, the third. Well, we have a momentary break in the action as referee Ronnie Ralston has spotted some ice in the ring, and he has kicked it out of there. And now he is ready, and we are started in round number three as, again, Tim Littles goes up against Warren Williams. And as we fought on here through the first two rounds, pretty much I've got it an even fight. I gave Williams round number one and countered that with Tim Littles winning the second round. As you said, Charles, I thought he got a little bit more aggressive in round two.
Yeah, I've given Littles both rounds. I think basically he's controlling the tempo, to use an off-beaten cliche, but he really has against Williams. Williams just has not had really the opportunity to get off because Littles is constantly moving, and when he's not moving, Williams is posing in front of him.
By the way, the weights today, 167 pounds for Little. That's 75-0 in kilograms, and 165.5, 75 even for Williams. Well, Littles is starting to tee off now with a pretty good combination punches. Digging that shot to the body, comes right back upstairs.
No countering shots from Williams.
So a minute deep into round three. Littles seems like he's just on the verge of starting to really take the advantage right above our Corona Extra mat on here at the Summit in Houston as we have the overhead camera for you today.
Gives you a good idea of the distance that Littles has put between the two, and he needs that distance to be able to tee off on Williams. It's really going to behoove Williams to get inside on Tim Littles, because I think that's where he's going to do his best work. Right there, he's got to shoot some shots to the body and cut Littles' movement down.
Littles enjoying a 2-inch advantage, and now it's Ron Ralston asked him to break. Both Littles and Williams hitting off the break, and this is the second time the fighters have been warned by the referee.
Maybe an interesting strategic move on Williams' part. He's going to try to get Littles rattled a little bit. Maybe he can take advantage of it. You know, when you're a mad fighter, you're not as effective a fighter. And perhaps Williams can use that to his advantage.
Williams is coming off a win over Chris Santee in his last fight. He won an 8-rounder out in Las Vegas, as a matter of fact. Fighting as 161 that day, so he's got about 4.5 more pounds fighting today against Littles. Littles clearly is starting to stalk the fight now on Williams. You can see that flipping left jab is not much at all by Williams. He tries to stand and fight. But Littles has got that reach advantage and too much quickness for him right now.
Tremendous differences in the jabs. That was a little bit of a slip with Littles. And Littles has had trouble with his footing during the entire fight. In the first round, he stumbled. In the second round, he stumbled.
So that was a push and not a knockdown. So no point deduction there as far as the scoring of the round is concerned. But Williams certainly knows he can get inside as they fight to the end of the thirds with some action packed here in Houston. Well, the crowd has certainly gotten into this fight now, and most of it has been brought on, Charles, for the fact that they refuse to break in the clinches. Kind of a little nasty fighting, and I guess the crowd kind of relates to that right now.
Well, we mentioned what Littles, or what Williams maybe had to do, get Littles a little rattled, and we're going to see this exchange right here where they're in a clinch. You know, when you got one hand free, you should be able to punch. Here comes the referee. And Williams throwing the left hook above the referee. And he landed.
Here was the slip that we came. Watches Williams. Let's see if he gets right on top of him.
That was a headbutt, actually. Little seemed to get headbutted on the way in and on the way out by Williams. And I look in the corner, and the referee did warn Williams about using his head.
So as we get ready, they have battled hard through 3, and we get ready for the 4th round. Sam Smith along with Charles J. as we welcome you back to Houston, Texas, and the 4th round of a scheduled 10-rounder super middleweights. On the left is the USBA champion Tim Littles. On the right in the green is Warren Williams. Williams again with a push, almost a near knockdown of Littles. Actually hit him with a pretty good right hook. But then, as you pointed out, headbutted him to the canvas. And it was not ruled as a knockdown by the referee in the round. In round number 3, and we fight with Littles a slight advantage on the cards unofficially here at ringside through the 3rd round.
What Williams is really looking to do here is turn this into a barroom brawl, because he knows that'll take Littles out of his game plan, which is to box and move and basically stay out of the range of Warren Williams. I think what Williams would like to do is stay on the inside, use whatever's at his disposal there in terms of, you know, even if he has to use quasi-questionable tactics, as long as that's going to have the positive effect in his own game plan against Littles. There's using the head again, and he's going to get warned by the referee.
Williams looks like he's been used to the best 2 out of 3 falls in addition to going the rounds here. Muscular built 29-year-old from Houston, Texas. I asked him exactly what he thought he might be able to do with Littles today. He says, whatever I have to do, and he's already demonstrated that already. Littles is also picking up the courage. He seems to be just walking in. He has walked through a couple of pretty good right hands thrown by Williams. Not too fond of getting inside and brawling with him when he has a chance of getting a headbutt again, as he did back in the 3rd round. But Williams wants to just throw that one big punch, and Littles is trying to be as cautious as he can as he comes in on it.
It's become clear as we're in round 4 that Williams is picking up confidence as he goes along. In the first couple of rounds, I think Littles was able to do basically what he wanted to do. But now Williams is not letting Littles really reach him with that jab. He's dancing away. And I think he's making a better fight for himself out of it.
Williams kind of shaking his head, indicating after that double left hook that time by Littles that, well, if that's the best you got, I'm not really worried about anything you've got today.
Well, Littles, as we mentioned, not really known as a puncher. So I think Williams feels that he might be able to walk right in there, except he's not walking in there with enough offense.
23-0 for Littles with 14 knockouts and wants a world title shot, but he's got to be careful here against Williams. One big punch by that windmill style of Williams could certainly end the fight in a hurry, but so far so good as we fought through 4 here in Houston today. Well, they continue to fight as the bell goes, and neither one of these fighters either listening to bells or the referees right now. Both taking a well-deserved rest between the rounds. Let's head into the corners and see if we can pick up some conversation. First, let's go to Little's corner. We are not afforded the opportunity of hearing that out here. I don't know if you're hearing it in the truck. You might give us a cue if you are. Okay. So you are more informed than we are, having listened into the corner for Littles. Maybe they'll paraphrase for us out in the truck the next time we do that as we head for the next round. This is round number 5 as we get ready for the 5th of 10 set in the super middleweight division. Tim Littles, the USBA champion in the black and gold, against a challenger that has certainly come on strong today in Warren Williams to battle him through the first 4 rounds.
I'm going to guess what Lou Duva told Tim Littles in the corner between rounds. I'd say he probably told him, don't let this guy get the better of you psychologically. Don't let him unravel you. Just stick to the game plan, move around, box, and don't get into exchanges. Because I think that favors Warren Williams.
Littles again trying not to backpedal against Williams, as Littles has tried to take the fight to him, but the ever-present forward momentum of Williams gets caught with a couple of shots, as he does there again. And Littles really just kind of picking his spots right now.
He's boxing a lot better now against Williams. He's not hitting him with a lot of solid shots, but he's keeping Williams at bay. And Williams doesn't seem to know how to counterpunch off of Littles' combinations. He should be taking advantage of the fact that Littles is leaving the left hand dangerously low. A big overhand right by Williams might do him some good.
You know, Littles started out his career with 6 straight knockouts, and everybody was really abuzz about him. He continued to win and has won 23 in a row, but again has 14 knockouts, so he started to try to set a little bit more into becoming a boxer rather than just a puncher. And so far, so good for him, as he's battled very well. But as Charles pointed out, outside of the first-round knockout against Rodriguez in his last fight, 5 of the previous fights had gone the distance of a full 12 rounds.
Well, you know, really, Littles didn't fight anybody in his first 17 pro fights. So, yeah, as I mentioned, as you move up in class, I think that's a good barometer of your punching power. Can you knock people out as you move up in class? Littles hasn't been able to do that. Good boxer, but I think really not a puncher per se.
Williams again brawling a bit with Littles earlier on. Littles almost goes out of the ring. Closing seconds of round number 5 of the scheduled 10-rounder. The Houston Summit in Houston, the home of the Houston Rockets of the NBA. They, along with the rest of the world, watching the Chicago Bulls and the Phoenix Suns in the NBA basketball championships. Now Ronnie Ralston with another warning to Warren Williams for holding on the break. And if you had to carbon copy round number 10 and, or excuse me, round number 4 and put it here in round number 5, it would just about look like an identical round for Littles and Williams. Well, Williams again, who has brawled his way through the first 5 rounds of this fight. Ronnie Ralston literally overwarning that happens again. This fight could be over as Williams has brawled his way against Littles so far.
I'm not sure that was all Williams' fault. They say Littles is turning his back on him, and I really think he just corralled him around the head.
Yeah.
And Williams was with his back to, Littles was with his back to Williams in that situation. But I think Williams may have aggravated a little bit there. He throws him right through the ropes. Maybe to some extent it was the fault of Warren Williams, but Littles was in that position.
Well, we had brawled through 5 rounds. Let's see what happens in the next 5 as we start the 6th round. Tim Littles in the black and gold and Warren Williams in the green. These are super middleweights on the undercard of the world title fight here in Houston between Orlando Canizales and Derek Whiteboy. And so far the crowd has been warmly receiving this brawl, which has suddenly deteriorated at times into a wrestling match, with Warren Williams literally throwing Littles out of the ring at the end of round 5. Big solid left hook to the body by Williams. Littles trying to throw that right hook, but Williams turning around and Littles sitting right in the back of the head.
Sam, I've got to admit this is a much more competitive fight than I thought it would be. And I think it's because Williams has drawn Tim Littles into his neighborhood in more ways than one. Not only is he fighting in Williams' hometown, but I think he's, in a lot of circumstances during this fight, making him fight his style of fight, which is the barroom brawl style that Williams is going to have to be effective in the bout.
Williams probably successfully may have won that first round, but after that it's been mostly Little being able to counter what Williams has done. And Williams precariously hanging on the thread of getting a point deduction by the referee, Ronnie Ralston, for numerous violations in this fight. But again, as he pointed out in the dressing room before it's over, now he's being warned for still another time here. He said in the dressing room he'd do whatever he needed to do to win the fight. And I think you hit it right on the head. He's trying to do as much a sight job on Littles as he is anything else.
Yeah, he got him in a front face lock there. You know, when you bring your opponent's head down, it's got a way of tiring the fighter, and perhaps he's trying to do that to Littles here. Any opportunity he gets, he'll sneak something in. Oh!
So they are deducting a point now. A point deduction for Williams.
Let's see how Littles reacts to this. Littles is not happy about that.
So the closing seconds of the 6th round as they brawl to the end again. Littles trying to wrestle it away, punch it away from Williams. And the crowd, I don't need to tell you, is into this fight as we finish round number 6. So now the fighters even have a war of words as they go to the sideline. You can hear in both corners that, again, let's watch some of that replay coming in this last round as Williams.
And there Littles tries to retaliate with his own move on Warren Williams. You see where he tried to bring Warren Williams' head down, and Warren Williams countered with a questionable move of his own as the referee moved in and is justified in taking a point away.
Round 7 of a scheduled 10-rounder here at the Summit in Houston, Texas. As USBA champion Tim Littles being relegated to a wrestling match with Warren Williams through the first 6 rounds. And as he fights here in the 7th round, of course, a point deduction has already been deducted from the score of Williams by referee Ronnie Ralston. Littles trying to be at long range as he tries to use that reach advantage of about 2 inches. But Williams has been successful at just kind of walking under that reach and getting it into a war.
Yeah, Littles said, if you want to go to war, I'll go to war with you. He took Williams by the back of the head and bent him down, and that what I think is what prompted Williams to throw the big right hand as Littles was basically in a prone position as the referee stepped in there at the end of the round, and he nailed Littles. You know, when they say protect yourself at all times, I'm not sure it means at the end of the round after a bell.
Williams has not changed expressions throughout this entire fight as he's just been that very stoic look as he's walked in on top of Littles. Littles has not necessarily changed attacks either. He's tried to come up the middle on Williams. He's tried angles, and Warren may have been a couple of times, but he hasn't broken as of yet. And you can see he's still throwing some pretty good punches. They may not be pretty, but they are landing.
Williams is basically trying to hit Littles anywhere he can.
Ronnie Ralston, the most active third man you'll see in a ring in quite a few fights.
I'm not sure that's a good thing either.
He has really had to battle these 2 fighters today. He's calling for him to break from long range, but they're not biting by his signals.
You know, when you got hands free like these guys have, you sometimes have to let them fight out of a clinch. And I think in some cases during this fight, Ralston has stepped in a little bit too early. See, right now you got to let these guys fight. They do have hands free. Williams is trying to force the break, but they're not really in a clinch per se.
Nice little shove that time by Williams again. We done said anything about by referee Ronnie Ralston, who has literally been all over Williams' case today. As you see the time winding down in round number 7 of this 10-rounder.
Oh, you could disqualify him now. Taking another point away, but that was Williams. That was really a questionable move on the part of Williams. You know, if you disqualified him right now, he'd probably be within his rights.
Williams clearly hitting after the bell was over. And, you know, even though Williams is trying to psych out Littles, I think Littles has got him pretty well psyched out. This is right at the end of the round.
I think it takes gamesmanship a little bit too far. Now, we're in the final 2 or 3 seconds of the round. The referee steps in. Few words, and then a punch, a rabid punch, no less, Sam. He couldn't even hit him on the jaw.
It also equates to a 1-point deduction, the second of the fight against Williams. So we're heading for the 8th round of the scheduled 10-rounder. Round 8 of a schedule for 10 super middleweights, and it has been anything but dull today, with Williams literally hitting after the end of the round as both fighters separated. He got a 1-point deduction in the last round and is falling down pretty badly on the scorecards here against Tim Littles, who really hasn't fought that sparkling a fight today, mostly because of the style of Williams.
Well, yep, styles make fights, and when one guy is able to impose his on another, it sometimes makes for interesting results. Now, Williams, as we mentioned, is trying to play the psychological game with Littles. He's in his own hometown. And, you know, when you can make a boxer slug it out with you, I think it's mission accomplished. Not that Williams has really effectively been able to do that. As you see, Littles, for the most part, has been outboxing him all the way and throwing his combinations. But, you know, when Littles gets into those exchanges with Williams and he gets into those, especially exchanges of dirty tactics, he plays right to Williams' own psyche.
One of the most frustrated people around ringside has to be Charles Snipes, who's working in the corner with the Warren Williams. He has warned Williams numerous times to, hey, just fight. You're doing okay inside the designated rounds. But it's all this extracurricular activity that's getting you in trouble with a couple of point deductions already. Now they're starting to really hot dog up a little bit. Little seems to still be staying right in his game plan, not getting overly zealous by all of the hot dogging by Williams. Williams gives you the appearance of a crashing fullback trying to open a hole for a halfback as he comes charging into Littles. Williams, as he has all fight long, has just waded in between punches, thrown him inside. Littles has backed out and thrown some good combinations off the break.
Littles has been pretty good defensively. Williams has not been able to do a lot of good work on the inside. What he has been able to do is throw some shots to the arms and actually to the kidney areas, but really hasn't been able to put a lot of sustained work together on the inside. I guess that's to Little's credit.
Not many didn't know if it was going to be competitive or not, but so far through 8, we've had quite a crowd pleaser here in Houston. Well, a good look at Tim Littles from Flint, Michigan, 23-0, and the USBA super middleweight champion. And Lou Duva, who is working in his corner, along with George Benton, who you see outside the ropes, and just to his right, the left of screen that you see there. There's a good overhead. Ace Morata, of course, the man working outside the ring as the cut man if needed today. Quite a veteran crew working in that corner, to say the least.
I think Dube has had about 14 world champions by now, and he hopes Littles will eventually join that long list. He certainly has the boxing ability to be able to do it, and he's showing a little bit more composure as the fight progresses. I'm sure that Dube in the corner has been able to talk to Littles about really calming down and settling down and not letting Williams drag him into the street fight.
So both fighters patiently waiting for the start of the 9th round. Well, there's roughly, if it goes to distance, 6 more minutes of fighting here from the Summit in Houston in this super middleweight fight. And Tim Littles will go back and tell his friends, I'm not sure that was all that much of a fight, more of a wrestling match, as we had most of the day here in Houston. But nonetheless, Littles has battled well. 2-point deductions, one for a hold, the other for hitting after the bell had sounded. Assessed against Williams has certainly hurt his chances of even staying close on the cards. Now his big hope is just to try to get a knockout of Littles here in this fight. You know, when you take a look at Warren Williams, and I couldn't help but notice in between rounds a little bit of a resemblance of Marvin Hagler, as a matter of fact, when you look at him right in the face.
A lot of fighters have done that, shaved their heads,
yep,
and trying to create that kind of mystique about them.
Don't they wish they could fight that well, huh?
Well, he's fighting more like Otis Sistrunk. A lot of people remember the old defensive end for the Oakland Raiders.
He may feel like he's hitting guys with a helmet today as well, as Tim Littles has been a difficult man to hit. He has been able to shoulder and headbutt him pretty good, but as far as hitting him with some good clean punches, and now another warning for a hole. That's probably, what, number 15 on on Williams today?
One more nasty thing from Williams, and Ralston told him he is disqualified. So Williams has been, for the most part, a good boy over the last couple of rounds.
When I went in to talk to him in the dressing room, he had his hood pulled up over his face, was almost kind of inconspicuous to the rest of the people in the dressing room. All of those in the red corner, all in the blue outside of the 2 people in the main event are all in the same dressing room, so they have a little trouble with their concentration. A couple of boom boxes going back there, and Williams was just trying to be as focused as he could, and we asked him for a couple of minutes. He gave us that, saying he'd do anything he needed to win, and he has held to that so far as they brawl into the ropes again. You know, Charles, you brought up a good point. Protect yourself at all times, and Williams is certainly not doing that. But Littles has been knocked so off balance, he hasn't been able to take advantage of Williams, kind of with no guard up.
Yeah, Littles, as you see here, has been having to fight a very unorthodox fight the past minute or so. And, you know, Williams' corner is encouraging that kind of activity. I mean, they know it's really no match in terms of boxing talent. And this is what Williams has to do to win.
So the closing seconds of round 9, we will go to the 10th and final round of this super middleweight battle in Houston after a timeout. Corona Extra bringing you World Championship Boxing from the Summit in Houston, Texas. Sam Smith along with Charles J. And we are delighted you could join us here around the world as we bring you World Championship action courtesy of the Cedric Kushner Sports Network. And as these super middleweights have kind of punctuated the card today, Tim Littles, the USBA champion, and Warren Williams. What is that, WWF? He may be a guy that has an opportunity to go into the World Wrestling Federation, as he has brawled with this guy, Tim Littles, today. Interesting enough, they're kind of cleaning Tim Littles up, taking the Vaseline that was off the eyes, putting some fresh on. Some of it may have been starting to come down into his eyes. And on the other side, Williams has not been on his stool the whole day. He has stood between every round as they get ready for round number 10 of this super middleweight battle on the Summit in Houston. Well, the last friendly gesture you'll see the rest of this fight, the touching of gloves, and this is our 10th and final round. as Tim Littles and Warren Williams will try to put a punctuation mark on a interesting fight, to say the least, here today in Houston. It's not one that's going to be put in a bottle and hermetically sealed and sent out to sea somewhere or saved, but it's been entertaining for the crowd nonetheless.
You know, it's interesting, Sam, you mentioned, well, Williams has not sat down on the stool yet between rounds. Ever since George Foreman and his comeback, and of course Foreman never sits down on a stool, a lot of fighters, I notice, are doing that. And it's probably no coincidence that Charlie Shipes, in the corner of Warren Williams, is also one of the cornermen and trainers for George Foreman.
George simply stands because he doesn't want the McDonald's to settle. He just wants them to keep moving in there. Not sure what Williams' problem is. Well, it's more of the same. It's pretty much a little toe-to-toe now here in the 10th round. And Williams is trying to dish it out.
Williams just nailed Littles with a good left hook. I'm sure that's the kind of shot he's been looking for the entire fight. Now that Williams appears to have hurt Littles a little bit, he doesn't even follow up with any punches. He goes right after the clinch. Could be getting a little tired, a little arm weary.
Littles' corner is encouraging Littles to stay outside and box, says don't get inside there, don't get inside. But they are encouraging to throw some punches here in this 10th round. Littles still digging that left hook to the body. Williams still taking and just walking right inside. Closing minutes of the 10th and final round of this fight.
Littles is a little tired, and Williams is not taking advantage of a golden opportunity to cut off the distance between the two and land some good inside shots.
The doctor of style has been that today as he's tried to counter Kid Nitro Williams, who comes in throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him today, and from virtually every style you can imagine. So it has been a fight that Tim Littles will long remember. He fought 4 straight left-handers in Bird, Lyle, Scully, and Morgan. Then had a 1-round knockout over a right-hander, Armando Rodriguez, in his last fight. And now today he's had literally a brawl in the closing seconds of the 10th round with Warren Williams. Well, they'll go out just about the way we expected this fight to end. Punches thrown after the bell as the fighters continue to battle all the way through 10 rounds and at least 4 or 5 seconds after the fight was over. Tim Littles with his traditional bow to the crowd, and Williams right behind him with his fist raised high and throwing kisses to the crowd as well. And I'm sure the crowd, which has been well entertained here in Houston, would obviously like to throw them right back, because they have indeed enjoyed it on this Corona Extra mat here at the Summit in Houston. It was a fight that started out with Warren Williams coming out strong in round number 1. As a matter of fact, that is the only round that we awarded him at ringside on the unofficial card. From there on in, it was 10-9 and 2 10-8 rounds, with a fight coming out as far as the 1-point deduction for holding, and that was against Williams. And then he got another one for hitting after the bell had sounded. So 2 1-point deductions for Williams. As you see the way the 10th and final round was going to end, as both fighters went after it tooth and nail. The bell had sounded about 3 or 4 seconds before that last exchange. And Ronnie Ralston, also the referee, is going to be a guy that will think about this fight for a long time, of what he could have done or maybe should have done to try to keep this a little bit more in control. But it looks like it's going to be going right down to the wire, with, of course, Littles expected on the unofficial card to be the winner. Tim Littles is looking for his 24th consecutive victory. He had 14 knockouts coming into this fight, but Warren Williams hopes to get a victory. Let's find out. Here is Gordon Wood with the decision. Well, Tim Littles indeed does come up with a victory for his 24th win, and you heard a wide open decision on the cards as all the judges exactly saw it about the same way we did here at ringside. A solid performance, again coming up by Tim Littles. Littles will get his cape on and get ready to talk to our man. That'll be Charles J. up in the ring as they are getting ready for the interview. Well, let's go upstairs. Here's Charles J. with Tim Littles. All right, now Lou Duba is now going after someone at ringside. Duba has been challenged by someone at ringside and now is in between the ropes and is literally going after somebody across the ring. Charlie J standing right there with them both. Let's go upstairs.
It looked like a little altercation at ringside between Roy Foreman, who was over in Warren Williams' corner, and Lou Duba. We're going to try to get a couple of words from Lou in just a moment. Lou?
Yeah.
Lou, from about the second round on, were you bothered? How much were you concerned about some of the dirty tactics on the part of Williams?
Well, it was getting out of control. See, and I wanted my guy to fight his fight. Fortunately, he fought a fight. Fought a good, heavy fight. He's a smart fight. He didn't get frustrated. He went out and did what he had to do. And I commend him for Tim fought a good fight.
Tim, was there any temptation on your part to get down in the gutter and slug it out with Williams once some of those things started happening?
Well, yeah, I tried to get the respect from him because he was just trying to bulldog his way in, using his head a lot. He's a shorter guy, and his head is always lower than mine, so I can susceptible to a cut. So I was just trying to just box him. But yeah, a couple of times I kind of bit down just to get the respect from him and catch him and let him know that I can sting a little bit.
Lou, you're known as a handler who likes his fighters to fight all kinds of styles. You consider this somewhat of an educational experience for Tim?
Oh, sure, because the guy, he fought a dirty fighter. He fought a guy that was trying to get him to fight his style of fighting in the gutter, and he didn't fight that. He fought his steady fight. Tim is primarily a boxer with a good punch, and that's the way we're going to lead into a title fight, world title fight. As far as these kind of fights are concerned, I think Tim showed me tonight that he can handle any frustration.
Quickly, Lou, do we have a title fight upcoming for Tim? What's the timetable, and who might the opponent be?
Well, he's #1 right now for Michael Nunn and #1 for James Toney. Either one of the two after November, I think we'll be in the ring with.
All right, congratulations to Tim Littles and to Lou Duba. Thank you very much. Let's throw it back to Sam Smith